Shahar, it's Shahar, right?
Yes,
Okay, Shahar, welcome to the BlockHash podcast live. How you doing today?
I'm doing well. Thank you. It's good to be here.
Glad to have you. Appreciate you taking the time to come on. Where are you from? Where are you based? I know you told me, but for the audience.
Yeah, I've been kind of around the U.S. I grew up down south in Alabama, and then for school I went up to D.C. and I got a job there working with in consulting with the federal government. It was a lot of fun, and so I did that for several years, and just recently kind of shifted gears, and I moved back down south to Atlanta, and so that's where I'm at now.
Is consulting with the federal government a fun experience?
Not really, no. But it's eye opening,
Hmm.
and it's challenging. So um, it's interesting. It definitely gave me a lot of interesting insight into how the government works or doesn't work.
Hmm.
Right.
What did you do specifically?
So I started off. I was working for IBM.
Hmm.
I stayed with IBM for 6.5 years, most of my professional life. Um, And I was on kind of a data science track at the beginning. I was doing lots of Excel, analytics, some modeling. I did fraud modeling at one point for Medicare. I did analytics for the Postal Service. And, then eventually in 2017, after I found crypto and blockchain, I sort of immediately knew, I was passionate about that. And that's where I wanted to kind of move my professional life towards. And so by the end of 2018, I had started kind of officially working in the IBM blockchain practice um, in the federal sector, which at the time was pretty small. It was like one or two people. So I was, person number three in that practice. And then for a couple of years, we had various projects, trying to build and pilot and introduce, blockchain-based systems into various parts of the federal government. So that was very interesting. I was involved in some of the earliest and largest kind of blockchain pilots in the federal government, that had happened at the time and perhaps even still to date.
What kind of pilots were they looking to do with blockchain?
So yeah, the main one that I worked on was actually for the Postal Service, one of my old clients. And what we were doing for them, we were actually building was basically like an NFT blockchain
Hmm.
to track mail pieces, right? And we were specifically working at, in a use case for international mail. So, USPS, the U.S. Postal Service, they don't have their own planes, right? So they not like FedEx or UPS. So they contract that out to all of the major US airlines, as well as, 30 plus other airlines around the world. And so there's a lot of, cross organizational data flying around. Everyone's kind of keeping data on these, mail pieces in their own databases, not sharing them. And there's a lot of inefficiency that results. There's a big chain of custody. It doesn't end with the airlines. It goes then to the foreign post. So it's a nightmare, of everyone keeping their own, data and all these siloed processes and highly inefficient. And so the use case there actually made a lot of sense, and basically we were saying like, hey, let's get all of these organizations in a network, in a blockchain network, working together and contributing data to a single source of truth, which is the blockchain, right? That everyone can trust. And then, once you have that, that's really just the beginning, right? Because, once you have that kind of trusted corpus of data, what can you build kind of on top of that? And then we can start building sort of dApps, right, on top of
Hmm.
that data layer to automate, all of these various processes that were being done very inefficient, like payments, like dispute resolution, and all these various things. And at the end of the day, just help the Postal Service know where the hell the mail is, because they didn't really. So that was the biggest example. And we did get that project all the way into a pilot phase. We had some of the major U.S. airlines on board, sending us data. And I believe the project is still going on now. It had a pretty big hiccup around about March of last year when COVID hit, and the Postal Service woke up and, realized they had no money and no budget for innovation and no business going on. So it was a wild ride. But it was really interesting, getting real experience trying to build networks and think about governance and, let alone talk to, the government about blockchain governance. It's an interesting experience. So I have kind of this, that interesting, private blockchain perspective, which is not, as cool as what's going on in crypto. Part of the reason that I left, but I think it's, something that not a lot of people have.
Yeah, why did you decide to leave? You didn't want to be a part of the private experience with blockchain. You want to do something in the more public side?
Well, it was, there's a frustrating aspect to working, one as a, contractor and consultant, where the work you're doing is, at the whim of someone else, and it's not really up to you. And then two, with the federal government, where things, just fly around, everything moves super, super slowly. You have to get, 16 approvals before you do anything. And, and it's just really slow and inefficient, and it can be very frustrating. And meanwhile, I'm watching crypto and I see how fast projects there move, right? And everything going on. And obviously I was always very interested as an investor. I was always, investing very heavily, more and more, as my conviction grew through 2017, 2018, 2019. And, I basically did well enough to, by 2020 to, have the option to walk away and do my own thing and not really have to work for money anymore. It was really, and I outperformed, Bitcoin and Ethereum as an investor over the past few years. Maybe not Ethereum this year, but over the past few years. And so, I wanted to see what I could do on my own be my own boss. And it's been a fun experience.
Yeah, I feel you on that. It's a good route to go down, have a little bit more, freedom of time and freedom of money, and be able to, do things on your own schedule, your own timeline, and not have to, be, sucked in by all that. And plus, working with the government, or working even with the U.S. Postal Service, which is like ancient at this point, that would be a hell of a headache. I would not want to have to do any of that. So,
yep, you're on the money. A headache is a good way to describe it. My head feels a lot better now. I'm no longer.
Yeah, I don't blame you at all. So yeah, what made you want to make the pivot, from doing that to doing what you do now with Road to Babylon, and I assume, crypto education and stuff like that, versus, being in, there's like a car driving by as like fast as possible. Perfect timing. But yeah, like why get into like the educational side of it and not into like working with developers and stuff like that and building something?
So basically, I thought it was where I could add the most value in my own way. And I was never a developer, right? I was a project manager, and I was also kind of the client facing, the client lead. So I was the guy, at IBM that they brought in to explain the tech, to all of these government types, and to even, private industry C-suite executives that we might be working with, to other IBMers, right? So I've explained the tech to all sorts of different people, different ages, different backgrounds. And I think I'm fairly good at it, and I enjoy doing it. And, and then more and more, especially over the past couple of years, as you can imagine, I've had lots and lots of friends and old contacts, be asking me about it, asking me how to get involved and what it is, et cetera, et cetera. And I found myself, answering those same questions over and over again. And I figured, why not try and scale this? And why not try and make, something, accessible for people that, anyone can go, and learn the really important concepts, not just about the tech, but also about how to invest in it, and kind of what's to come, and what the things to watch, and how to kind of approach it, overall from an investing standpoint, and do things like passive income generation, yield farming, and all that sort of stuff. So Road to Babylon is just kind of just the LLC I set up, for that. And I called it Road to Babylon because this book I read that was really influential, called The Richest Man in Babylon, which is kind of a classic personal finance book that really, I really enjoyed. And I also like the idea of blending kind of the old and new. Babylon was the first, or ancient Mesopotamia. It was kind of the first civilization that created kind of property rights. And so in a way, they sort of invented this idea of investing and kind of banking and commerce. So, in ways that we still, use it. Right. So that's why I called it that. And, I like the idea of, these old, you can implement, these old time-tested principles about investing and wealth creation, and apply them to, even something as new as crypto, right? And the synergies are really amazing. In fact, I think crypto and crypto assets are kind of the best financial instruments and the best instruments for passive income generation and wealth creation that have ever existed. So, that's something very exciting and that I wanted to spread around as much as possible.
Yeah. Why do you think that about crypto assets? Obviously, I generally believe that, but what's your opinion on it?
So, if you think of, first off, if you define assets, right, as something that puts money into your pocket, which that's the definition I like. That's from a book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad, which is also a great personal finance book. I would recommend to anyone. If we define assets as something that put money into your pocket, right, something that can get you passive income, then crypto assets kind of really shine there. And the reason is, assets, whether it's stocks or real estate or crypto or whatever else, right, they're always putting money into someone's pocket. They're always being used by someone to generate income, right? Whether it's the money you keep at your bank that the bank's loaning out, or stocks that you keep on Robinhood where they're profiting from the order flow, or from lending them to hedge funds to short sell you, right? Someone's always making money off of it. But crypto, for the first time, because it allows you to fully own the assets, right? Because we can fully own, our crypto assets, we can actually demand, better returns, right? And better passive income. And we can control those passive income streams because we ultimately control the asset. We don't need a broker or anyone else in the middle like Robinhood to do that for us, where they're kind of taking that passive income generation opportunity away from us. So the reason why it, simply is just the best kind of instrument for that that's ever existed is because you have the ability to fully own it yourself, right? And so what that results in is all of these companies and services and DeFi and things that cater to that, right, to your individual sovereignty over your assets, and actually pay you, the vast majority of the passive income kind of surface area potential, right, that they can generate. And so whether it's in DeFi or CeFi or, other sorts of applications, it's amazing passive income you can earn. And by the way, you can get started with any amount, right? You can buy any amount of crypto. You can earn the same rates as, someone with $1 million in crypto, with $1 on a lot of these platforms. And so that's just incredible. It's incredibly powerful.
So what I'm getting is you're trying to help people achieve financial freedom through things like crypto assets and starting to realize that, correct?
Yeah. And I mean, it's not about me. It's about everyone has their own journey. I think lots of people that I talk to, they're really interested in crypto, but they are worried, about making some bad mistake, when they're getting involved in it, or they, or they're worried about getting caught up in FOMO, or they're having difficulty understanding. They don't know how to, approach investing. So these are all things that, I felt too, that they're very normal. And, I spent years kind of, working them out and found kind of what was successful for me and what was successful for other people, and read, tons and tons of books on all sorts of different stuff, and then applied it. And so I'm just here kind of as a guide, for that. And the main thing I'm working on through the company is an online course, right? So something that, I know people are really busy, and everyone, I think self-paced learning is really great. I love it. So that's kind of the product I wanted to do. The course will be, 6+ hours of self-paced content, highly curated, 5 to 10 minute videos on lots of different topics. And once again, everything crypto education, how does it work? What is it? Down to even a deep level of different consensus algorithms, mechanisms, mining, etc., game theory, to, investing, right? And how, and again, using these, going back to the first principles, right, of investing, and then how to apply those to crypto, how to assess risk, how to kind of think about portfolio strategy, what the mindset is like. So much of investing is mindset. And then, I go deep into various kind of important topics in crypto, everything from, like layer one networks to DeFi to NFTs, scaling, all that stuff. And then kind of the last module of the course is, my kind of tips and tricks of things that I've learned, things about like how to save on gas fees, right? How to kind of optimize, transactions that you make, how to do passive income in various different ways, including yield farming, which is, an incredible opportunity for people. And then taxes, loans, all that. So I try to cover everything, at least at a high level, and some of the things we really go deep into.
Got it. Do you just have a curricula, or do you also do like consulting, or do you guys put on seminars and do talks and things like that?
Yeah, I've started to do more of that. So here in Atlanta, I started, a crypto meetup group, and I've been getting, involved in the crypto community here. There are several meetup groups, but at the beginning during COVID, none of them were meeting, so I made my own. And now we're doing that, and I've started to also do some in-person classes here, as like there's been a lot of interest, particularly in like DeFi and yield farming, stuff that I do a lot. So in a few weeks, actually, we'll be doing one of our first master classes locally in Atlanta, and we have a lot of interest in that. And I'll be doing a full tutorial and demo of like yield farming on something like Uniswap, right? And so that'll be really fun. I do have some consulting I do through Road to Babylon, which you can find on my website if you're interested. I offer free consultations, as well as kind of more intensive, paid consultations where we can really look and, make you like a tangible plan, tangible portfolio strategy. And it costs, a couple $100, but, if you're investing in crypto and I, increase your performance by 5%, which I think, I can do a lot better than that, then, it'll pay for itself easily. Right. Not to mention giving you peace of mind, which I think is super underrated in investing.
How much does the curriculum cost if they just want to take the courses and do it like self-paced?
The course, when I release it, it'll be under $200. So I wanted to make it accessible. I think I'll probably price it like a 180. Seems good. A lot of people have told me to go higher. I think that's a great price for it, but it's not really about the money for me. I want people to get access to it, and I want to get feedback on it. And I think, for a 6-hour course, with as much and as deep content as there is and all the additional resources you'll get, I think it's a great value.
Have you thought about doing any of these like groups, classes or seminars or things like that, like online, given the pandemic and how hard it is for people to kind of come together right now?
Yeah. Yeah, I have thought about that. That may be something I'll do in the future. I mean, part of, what you'll get with the course, and I think, everyone, every kind of guidance, crypto guidance kind of products you get, the good ones do this is, you'll get access to like a Telegram group, right, that I'm in all the time. And so you can always pop in there and ask questions, get access to other people, and network and that kind of thing. Group online classes may be a thing in the future. We'll have to see. I really like, for the online stuff, I, have the course, which is self-paced, and then I really like to do in-person stuff. So, I've been focused on trying to set up in-person stuff here in Atlanta, with, the masterclass that I mentioned. I'm also working on a project with the United Way here locally, trying to do, something for students, get them like hands-on investing experience, and particularly in crypto. So that's something I'm looking forward to as well.
Yeah, universities and colleges are way behind when it comes to putting out quality education around crypto and blockchain. And
Yep.
I've had a few different universities on the podcast in the past as well, and they even talked about that. And they're trying to put out courses and curricula that will give you actual course credit and stuff like that. Have you thought about working with a university or college to offer a course or something like that?
Yeah, I would love to do that, and I think that that would be great. Again, my focus now has just been on launching the course as well as continuing to keep up with crypto, because honestly, the most in terms of my time, the most valuable thing I can really do is be just paying attention to the market and to crypto and doing research, especially right now. I've been between, trying to manage my portfolio and continue to yield farm a lot and stay ahead, advise, other investors and all of this stuff. I just haven't really had time to make those connections. But, certainly if they're interested, if you've talked to some of them, put me in touch and I would love to help them out. Whatever
Yeah,
way.
yeah, I know a few, especially on the West Coast. I know that's a little bit far from you in Atlanta, but yeah, but happy to put you in touch at some point if
We
you'd
have
like
a
to
good
talk to them.
airport. That's no problem. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's true. If they don't get lost in that airport.
Right. Well, I can go to them. It'll make it easier.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Do you have like competition? Like, is there anyone else really doing this in terms of putting out good education around blockchain and crypto? Because I don't really see it. Like, I usually see people creating these, I don't know, fake, certifications and stuff. And like, you take my course, you get like some certificate with a little stamp. But like, is there like any like good educational sources out there other than you, or do you feel like you're the first to kind of like hit this niche in the right way?
I think there's definitely competition. I know some other people, doing courses. Most of the other courses I've seen are either really kind of intense boot camps, which is really demanding on people's time and maybe is deeper than they're ready to go. Or they are other sorts of self-paced courses, but that just kind of stay at a higher level, or they're only kind of on one topic like DeFi. There's this DeFi course that someone sort of well-known did, and it got a lot of reach. And I had some friends kind of take that, and they're like, oh, this never really got that deep, and this was kind of like surface level, and I didn't actually learn that much, and it wasn't that much content even. So I think that what I've tried to do, and we'll see how successful this is. I think it's going to be really great. Is really cover a lot of different stuff and take people, start at 0 and go to 100 on a lot of different topics, and really kind of position you as a long-term investor. Okay. So, and that's what I think is, the most valuable thing. People always underestimate the power of compounding and the power of patience and thinking long-term, right? So many of these courses and instructors are just hype train, and they like, and they're playing into your FOMO, and they're like, you got to buy this coin now, is going to the moon. You got to learn about it. You got to get it now. All of this BS, like it's bad. Like that's not how people should approach it. That's not, what's going to work out for most people. It just isn't. So my approach is really like no nonsense. Like, let's cut through the hype. Like, yes, hype is a thing, and part of this industry does deserve to be hyped. I think it's really, really exciting and fast moving, and there's massive opportunity here. But the right way to go about it, in my opinion, is to really take the time, understand it, understand what you're investing in, understand the risks, know how to do various different things, know where the industry is going. And how to kind of be involved as a long-term investor and earn passive income in the meantime, and don't stress, right? And I think that is the best way. That's what worked for me, right? I wasn't in and out of the market trading all the time. I did a lot of research, did fundamental research. Part of my course is about how to do fundamental research. Made some investment, made lots of investments. Some didn't work out, and some, went 200x. And that's, and that's all you need to do, right? You just be patient. If you pick one or two winners in this space, you're going to hit financial freedom, right? That's the type of opportunity we have here. So, don't FOMO in, based on crap you see on Twitter, based on some random guy telling you what to do. Learn how the industry works, learn how to do research, learn where the interesting hot areas are. All of that's covered in the course. And then, you can reach your goals a lot faster than you think. It's not going to happen next week. It's not going to happen next month. It may not happen this cycle. But, a few years, is really all it takes. And then that seems crazy to people. Now, when you tell them, oh, you might have to wait like 3 or 4 years to be a millionaire in crypto, it's like they go crazy. It's like, are you kidding me? Like that's an incredible proposition, right? Mm-hmm. So that's the niche I'm trying to fill. They cut through the hype, focus on the long term, and and in my opinion, a healthy way to invest and participate.
Yeah, it really boils down to time, patience, and risk management with all this stuff.
Yeah,
and I think
absolutely.
when you tell someone they could be a millionaire in 4 or 5 years investing in crypto, it's kind of funny when they get so anxious and they're like, "Oh, that's too long." I'm like, "Are you kidding me?" You tell anyone they could be a millionaire in 4 or 5 years if they do everything right, you should be excited. Like that's a huge opportunity. But it's funny how people get anxious in this space and they're like, "No, I want it tomorrow," or "I want it to happen next week or next month."
It really is. And and those people don't wind up, 99% of them don't wind up making it. It's I can't remember who said, some famous investor said, markets are a mechanism of transferring wealth from the impatient to the patient. And so that's, a bit overly simplified, but I think it's true on a deep level, and you have to, being impatient, there is no such thing as get rich quick. You can, sure, you can win the lottery, but that's not the process you should adopt.
Exactly. It's just a sentiment in the space, unfortunately, but it's true. Yeah, money does technically flow from the impatient to the patient. That's a pretty good way to put it. Let me ask you one more question, then we'll slowly start wrapping everything up. And I'm actually kind of curious, how do you keep up with things that are going on in the space? Because it moves so lightning fast all the time.
Oh, yeah.
And it's my job as well to keep up with what's going on and what's happening every single day. And it's difficult. What's your method for doing that?
Well, one, podcasters help a lot. Guys like you that, go deep and interview people kind of like boots on the ground. But for me, I focus. I try and focus. So I don't try and cover everything. In the course, I give kind of a high level overview, at least of everything, but I only go deep into a few areas that I have, more expertise on. So, and like you said, because there's so much going on, you're never going to know all of it, and you're never going. And as an investor, you're never going to be deep enough to like accurately invest in everything, right? So my advice is kind of to focus on a few areas, a few verticals, right, that you might be really interested in. So maybe that's NFTs, maybe that's DeFi, maybe it's MEV, minor extractable value, a really interesting thing going on. Maybe it's a single layer one, right? So maybe you just focus on the Ethereum network. You can spend all of your time just focused on what's going on in the Ethereum network. You still probably can't keep up with all of that. You can focus on Cardano. You can focus on Cosmos, right? I know some people that they only deal in the Cosmos ecosystem and they know all sorts of stuff about that. And I think that's a great recipe for success, right? You don't need 16 different investments. You only need a few, right? If you're managing risk, right? And if you know what you're doing. So for me, I focus on, and I do more probably than I would recommend for most people for the simple reason that I'm full-time, right? And I do this all the time, every day. So for me, it's Ethereum, it's DeFi, it's NFTs. MEV is another area I've gone pretty deep on. And then, I've tried to, I've been an investor in Cardano for a number of years, and I've always been fairly involved in that ecosystem. I was staking in the incentivized testnet when that went live. I've been involved in the community, but I felt myself even slipping a little bit from that just because all this other stuff is so demanding. But I try to also kind of know about that ecosystem. And then I have people being, sending me stuff about Solana now, right? And it's a lot. So my advice is focus on a few verticals. You don't feel like you need to know everything. You can do very, very well just getting deep into a few areas.
Yeah, I think that's good advice. People get too distracted with the wide diversity of the space and how much is out there and all these different things you can focus on. But I've had so much success just focusing on maximum 10 different things at a time, because it's hard. It's hard to keep up. There's so much going on. And like the Ethereum ecosystem, it's so damn big. You could just get stuck in that ecosystem forever in that protocol and not know everything still. So yeah, I think it's best to just, pick what you like the most and focus it on those, and you'll see more success that way.
Yeah, and pick what's meaningful to you. Do you care about how the art industry is getting completely disrupted over the next few years? Well, then you look at NFTs. Are you more interested in how finance is getting completely disrupted over the next few years? You can go DeFi. Or if you want to see, if you're interested in how governance is going to get disrupted over the next few years, then there's DAOs and there's layer ones. And so the point I'm making, right, is so much is getting rebuilt and redesigned on this native crypto layer, the internet of value, as I like to call it, right? It's a massive paradigm shift. There's so much that is going to be totally different. So, what are you interested in? And if you like change, if you find disruption and that kind of stuff interesting, you're in the right place.
Absolutely. So if people want to learn, they want to take a course, they want to work with you, where should they go? Just the website, or you guys have other places?
Yeah, my website is a great place, roadtobabylon.org. There are links to kind of all this stuff. The course is kind of featured there now, so you can go learn more about that. You can sign up for updates since it's not yet live. Hopefully in the next month, it'll be live, so we're very close. We're just putting finishing touches on it. And then last thing, I know everyone has a newsletter, but I do a free newsletter. And you can sign up for that on my site. And I put a lot of time into it, and, it's once a week, right? It's my thoughts on what's going on in crypto, what's going on in the market, how to think about as an investor. And again, I take the viewpoint of a long-term investor. So that's kind of who I'm trying to talk to, right? And so if that's you, if you are interested in the space and you think and that long-term kind of no hype focus makes sense to you, definitely check it out, right? And it's totally free.
Cool. Sounds good. I'll put a bunch of stuff in the episode show notes description below the episode when it goes out so people can find it. Anyways, Shahar, thank you for taking the time to come on the podcast today and really elaborate and explain these things. Really appreciate it. It's always great talking to someone that's on the educational side too, because it's always tech based on here. Everyone wants to talk about the tech, their project, their new coin or something like that. So it's nice just talking about education too.
Absolutely. Well, anytime, man. Brandon, thank you so much. And I'll have to let you know when I come down to Colombia.
Absolutely. Let me know. Happy to host you. Maybe we can do a live episode here in person.
Oh yeah, that'd be fun.
All right, man.
Maybe from the beach.
Maybe from the beach. All right. See you soon.
See ya. Take care.